Well, here we are ready for number 7. So this is the 7th of our little video lessons, but we're actually studying chapter 10 in our book, Becoming a Contagious Christian by Hybels and Middleburg. Now we're getting to the very heart, and it's exciting but challenging as we begin to say, how do you start spiritual conversations? You've done the best you can to make real friendships. You've done your style. You've been friends with people. You've done a Matthew party, or you've just been praying for somebody. And you just say, how do I get spirituality into the discussion? Anyway, there's a million ways, obviously, and we want to do it from the Holy Spirit. I was in a Thai restaurant. I just came from the same Thai restaurant. Here are these people becoming my friends. Ate there for the first time last week because I can speak Thai. I grew up in Thailand. I have a little special connection inside Thai restaurants. They're always a little bit surprised that someone can at least speak some of their language. And pretty soon the owner came over. Just a wonderful, first-class Thai lady. And so I asked the usual questions. Where are you from in Thailand? And of course I've usually been there and know something about it. And I've probably been in Thailand about as many years as they have, if they've been over here very long, because we were over there 13 years. Anyway, and then it just seems as natural as anything to say, are you Buddhist or are you Christian? In Thai, it's Sasana Put is the word for Buddhist. And they'll nod, it's yes, Buddhist. And I say, do you go to temple? You know, are you active in it? Do you really believe? And we're in the conversation. That's my segue. And then pretty soon I said, do you believe in God? And then we're in a conversation. Christianity believes in a God. Christianity believes you can get all the way in one life. They believe in 60,000 lives. And we're in a spiritual discussion. We have two people working right here at our church who are not of our church, but they have been working in our community service for years. They're lovely, wonderful people. And I finally just said to them, I said, you're sort of working here for our church, but I don't think you've ever been in church. That's not right. You're not just having fun. If you're going to work here, you have to come. And he said, okay, I will. And they've been coming. We started Bible studies today. I don't know where it will go, but they are great people, and we love each other because I finally said, you work here, you ought to come to church. I've used a tsunami or other disasters in the world to say, what do you think? Pat Robertson or various preachers will go on television and talk about how these are God's punishments. And I'll say to somebody, what do you think of that? Does that make sense to you? And we're in a discussion. Does God destroy whole groups of thousands of people in Indonesia because it was his punishment on people who worship the God of Islam? Does that sound right? I've used a proposition like Prop 8 here in California. You know, do you believe in gay marriage or not? And if they'll take one side, I'll take the other just for fun because it's a difficult issue. And if they are sort of against gay marriage, but I said, should we use the power of the government and police in order to get people to do something we weren't able to get them to do by preaching or by love or by biblical teaching? We'll use force to do it? Oh, and then I'm in a discussion about the role of free choice in God and government and politics. Or if they take the other side, no, we shouldn't. I say, but are there some standards? You know, is the Bible standard? Should we use the Bible standards for all of our society? And we're in a discussion. I'm in the barber chair, and we're having a discussion. You're on an airplane, and you make a transition from secular, what about the weather, what about the Lakers, what about the Dodgers, to something that's spiritual. So anyway, the book gives you a number of transitions. Some would say you don't have to think about it. Just be a good Christian and live your life, and God will take care of the rest of it. But the Bible's pretty clear. You know, at some point, somebody, maybe not you, may not be your gift, but somebody needs to put it into words. Doesn't do any good to go back to the polio ward and do jumping jacks and show that you're well if you don't tell people how to go get well. So there has to be not only high potency, close proximity, clear communication. You have to begin to use words. Well, there's some prerequisites to this. You just can't do this without this. You have to absolutely have heartfelt assurance in your soul that your life is better than it was before you got to know God and meet Christ. And you know that their life will be better. And that's what gives you the courage to say, I'm giving something that's been wonderful to me. I'm passing it on. It's worth risking that moment of transition and putting the spiritual into play. They talk about the direct methods. If you ever like to know the difference between religion and Christianity, let me know. Bible says he does it while they're jogging on a track. And just, meet someone. Hey, if you ever think you'd like to discuss that, that's my world. Let's talk. And you go on running. They come back to you and say, hey, what about that religion thing? Everyone says, how's it going? How are you doing? And what do people say? Fine. And you can say, come on, this is me. Tell me how it is. How's it going really? And people can begin wherever they want to begin. And usually there'll be a hook in there someplace. Do you ever think about spiritual matters? I've used this hundreds of times. What's your religious background? What's your spiritual background? They can start wherever they want to start. You don't have to say, what church do you go to? Though I've used that. What's your religious background? They can go anywhere they want to go. Have you ever wondered what happens when you die? Where are you going in your spiritual journey? Those are more direct. Right to the point. But there are indirect methods where you just sort of weave church in. Someone said, I just moved. And I'm 20 minutes away from work, and I'm 5 minutes away from my church. And you just announce that you're a church person. It's indirect. And they may say, what church do you go to? You may say, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to a concert at my church. Oh, yeah, what concert is that? What church is that? In religion and your church are in play. I teach a class of kids on the weekend. You do? Yeah, I teach 40 kids. And it's in the discussion. You may just say, hey, I went on a mission trip. Where did you go for summer? Well, I went on a mission trip. You went on a mission trip? Yeah, I'm part of a church. I have found that it really means a lot to me to get involved in my church and go with a group of young people over to, Haiti or Thailand or somewhere. You go, nature. You're all standing somewhere in nature. Isn't God got a sense of humor? Look at that. And you begin to laugh. Or isn't it amazing that people can doubt God, and believe in some version of evolution? Look at this. How can anyone doubt? And you're in the discussion. Could be music. You talk about music. Oh, yeah. I really like U2. U2 does music, but they're crossover. They deal with some of the philosophical issues. And I hear that they're Christians. Or switch foot. And you get into a discussion about religion. Can be sports. What about Tiger Woods? What do you think about that? And you're in a discussion about athletes or about sports or competition, or it just gets you an entering wedge that's soft. It might be a shared struggle. Something that someone has a problem. Yeah, well, me too, I went through a 12-step recovery program for that. And boy, it meant a lot to me. And I just found as I did a moral inventory and higher power, God helped me. And you're in a discussion from a shared struggle. Yeah, I'm having trouble with my kids too. Yeah, I went through that too one time. I went through a divorce. My father died. Oh, yeah, you too. And you go through your shared struggle becomes the pathway. Holidays, what are you doing for Christmas? Well, I'm going to the Christmas program. We're going to go give gifts to somebody down the street. And you're in a discussion about that. You can ask about your beliefs. And it's tell me about your beliefs. And then hoping that well, what do you believe? And you'll have a chance to share yours. 1,000 ways. Open your mind to the Holy Spirit and say, God, help me get God into this discussion somewhere. And Bible promises that it'll give you the words to speak. If you'll think about it, pray about it, love somebody, somewhere the door will open and you'll step over the line. You'll never be sorry. You'll have some great moments for you and God. God bless you.